To Lab 4C, determining the empirical formula of a compound. The purpose of this lab is to form the compound from the elements iron and oxygen. To observe the effect on a catalyst on a chemical reaction. And to determine the empirical formula of the compound produced in the chemical reaction.
The materials needed for this lab in the apparatus section are a ring stand, a ring support, a lab burner, a crucible, some crucible tongs, a water-soluble marker, a pipe stem triangle, a heat-resistant mat, a centigram balance, safety goggles, and a lab apron. In the reagent section, you will need steel wool and ammonium chloride solution.
Put on your safety goggles. Now we'll be getting the mass of the crucible. 21.27 grams. No. Find the mass of the steel wool. 1.16 grams. Press the wool into a little bowl and we've got our crucible. Let's weigh it. 22.39 grams. Now that we're done steps 1 through 4, let's do step 5. I'm going to take my steel wool, dunk it in the ammonium chloride, let it soak, and put it back in a crucible. And step 7, take a piece of paper, put your block, class, and names. And lastly, take your crucible and put it right on top of the paper.
Now the waiting begins.
Part 2. For the next few days, we're going to use the medicine dropper to drop some drops of ammonium chloride into our steel wool to keep it nice and moist for the next few days. Now we're on our final day. It's time to get our crucible. And now we have to place it on the wire triangle. Now that we've got our crucible nice and adjusted, time to light out the Bunsen burner.
The crucible by accident is cracked while you keep it in, it will fly everywhere, and you don't want it to fly into your eyes.
Now that it's lit and adjusted, let's put it under the crucible. Be really careful. After a few minutes, the crucible is going to glow a dull red. That means it's really hot. After it glows red, let's wait about 10 minutes before turning the Bunsen burner off. Now that it's been red for about 10 minutes, let's turn the Bunsen burner off. And let's get the Bunsen burner off. Now, the apparatuses are still going to be hot, so be really careful and use tongs to remove the crucible and place it on the cooling rack.
Kelvin, see, when you're done.
Now that the crucible is all cooled off, let's find the mass of the crucible and its contents. 22.90 grams. For question 1, we're going to divide the mass of the iron before the reaction by the molecular mass of the iron, and we'll get 0.0208 moles of iron. Subtract the mass of the crucible and the compound after the reaction by the mass of the crucible and iron before the reaction, and we will get 0.51 grams. Time to find out how many moles of oxygen we have. Here, we're going to find out the ratio in between the iron and the oxygen. Here, we're going to write the formula for the iron and the oxygen. There are 3 reasons we heated the crucible. 1. It acts as a catalyst. 2. It evaporates all the unnecessary liquids. And 3. It burns the unwanted substances. These are the 2 different formulas we ended up with. One of the formulas we got from using the empirical formula. And the other formula we got from taking 1 charge out of the iron. Follow-up question number 1, part A. One of the reasons we use catalysts is because it helps us combine the chemicals to create the explosions in a car's engine. Part B. The reason we use inhibitors is because we use them to kill bacteria. It slows them down so much to the point where they can't live any longer.